Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. So again, welcome to our subject, Intermediate Accounting. And we are on the series of our discussion about inventories. And for this video presentation, we will be talking about cost formulas, okay, or cost flows. So a primary issue in accounting for inventories is actually a determination of the amount to be recognized as part of the asset or even the amount to be recognized as expense in our income statement. So sa ating standard for inventories under IAS number 2, okay, so it prescribes now we need to report our inventories at lower of costs and net realizable value. So previously, doon sa ating discussion about the costs of inventories, inclusions and exclusions, we have already discussed kung ano po yung mga laman ng cost of inventories at initial recognition. So it could be either from purchased o kaya naman from manufactured. Now we have the cost of conversion and other costs involved, as well as ones that we have harvested an agricultural produce na naging inventories, diba? Na-discuss natin yon in our previous discussion. Okay, so in IAS number 2 nga po, no, nabanggit that we need to determine the costs. And subsequently, we need to determine how much is the net realizable value, because if the net realizable value is lower than our costs of inventory, then we will be recording a write-down. So by the way, that write-down or even the lower of costs and net realizable value with discussion will be presented on a separate video. Okay, so abangan niyo yun. Okay, so for this particular discussion, we will be focusing about the cost formula as indicated in IAS number 2. Okay, so the cost of goods available for sale natin, which you know the formula, diba, which is the beginning inventory plus our net purchases, that's equal to our TIGAS or SIGAS, no? The cost of goods available for sale needs to be allocated between the cost of goods sold and the ending inventory, okay, by means of this cost flow assumptions. Okay, the physical flow of the goods does not need to match the assumed flow of the costs used in the financial statements. So for this, again, we will be discussing the various cost flow formulas as indicated in IAS number 2. And we have actually 3, no? Classification of cost formula to be used. We have number 1, the specific identification method. Then we have the first in, first out, or the FIFO method. We have also the average cost method, but depending upon the inventory system used by the company, no, it could either be weighted average. So mamaya we will be discussing it further, that it is used for periodic inventory system, while moving average is more on the perpetual inventory system. Okay, so take note lang po that in the current IAS number 2, okay, the LIFO, hindi po LIFO ng taba ha, LIFO, that's the last in first out. Okay, so the counterpart of the first in first out is not acceptable anymore. Okay, again, the LIFO is not acceptable. So for this discussion of our cost formula or cost flow assumption, then we will not be discussing the LIFO approach. Okay, so let's start. Okay, yung discussion nitong mga different cost formula, okay, in determining how much is the cost of the ending inventory and even somehow how much is the cost of goods sold. Okay, so let's start with specific identification method. Okay, from the word itself, no, specific identification. So in the standard of IAS number 2, it entails that yung cost ng ating inventories, okay, or the items under these inventories are not interchangeable, and goods and services produced and segregated for specific projects. So when we talk about not ordinarily interchangeable, okay, we could be able to identify ano itong product na to, magkano itong product na to. Kaya nga specific, di ba? Because of course, you have product 1, ito yung price niya. Okay, product 2, ito yung price niya. We could be able to identify them clearly kung magkano po siya. So under the specific identification method, that's a typically used by those that we could not interchange any product from one product. And we could determine specifically how much is the amount on that particular product or project or goods or services. Okay? So under the specific identification method of cost, no, it means na yung specific cost na ma-identify per product, okay, or per item will be identified as the cost of this inventory. Okay? So, pag natira pa tong product 1 na to, okay, let's say 100 pesos, then ibig sabihin, meron pa tayong ending inventory na 100 pesos related to that product. So, pag nabenta, then the cost of goods sold is 100 pesos since yun yung cost niya. So, that's how it works for specific identification method. Okay? So, let's have an example of this specific identification method. Okay? So, I have here a problem, no? Wherein, to illustrate, assume that the following data from Pure Gold Incorporated, na? Okay, so babasahin ko po ito and eventually this problem will also be used, okay, on the various pa na mga cost formula. Okay, so let me just read this. No? September 3, we have purchased 2,000 at 40 pesos units. Okay, so we have a balance of 2,000 units on that case. No? Okay, on September 16, meron tayong 6,000 at 44. Okay, 8,000 na yung units natin kasi 2,000 on September 3 plus 6,000 purchased. And then on September 20, nagbenta po tayo ng 4,000. Okay, so 8,000 minus 4,000. So it means that we have the remaining balance after the sale na 4,000 units. And then on September 30, we have 2,000 units being purchased at 48 pesos, then that would be at 6,000 na balance. Okay, so if you will be asked, ilang inventory pa po ba yung natitira natin at the end of the accounting period on September, that's actually 6,000 since running balance naman yan. Now, sabi dito, the 6,000 units of inventory are consists of, so we have identified, no? 1,000 units daw, no, 6,000 is coming from September 3. Okay, so which is at 40 pesos, as you can see. Then we have 3,000 coming from September 14, which is costing at 44. And then 2,000 units come from September 30 purchase, which is 48. Okay. So using and applying the specific identification method, no, how much is the cost of ending inventory and cost of goods sold? Remember that under the specific identification method, we can identify clearly kung saan nanggaling yung binenta natin at the same time saan din po nanggaling yung natitirang number of products natin. So which is being indicated here sa binasa ko. Okay, so let's first determine the cost of ending inventory. Remember, meron pa tayong 6,000 na natirang units, di ba? And nabigay po yung breakdown kung saan nanggaling yung 6,000 units na yon. Thus, the ending inventory should be, okay, so on September 2, sabi 1,000 units daw yung nanggaling doon times 40 pesos na cost of purchase, then that would be 40,000. Okay, in September 14, meron 3,000 units na nanggaling doon at 44 pesos per unit, then 132,000. And then lastly, we have on September 14, we have 2,000 units times 48 pesos. Okay, so that would be 96,000. So overall, if we add them, no, the total cost of ending inventory natin coming from the 6,000 unit, which was specifically identified from the various purchases that we have, then it would be a total of 268,000. So that's the cost of the ending inventory using the specific identification method. Again, we could clearly identify kung saan po siya nanggaling. Okay, so are we good on that? All right, very good. So the next question was actually, magkano po yung cost of goods sold? Okay, so cost of goods sold is, tignan natin, ilan ba yung nabenta? We have 4,000 units, hindi po ba? Okay, and that 4,000 units, of course, came from the various purchases natin. Okay, so tignan natin. So we have alternative. Unahin ko muna yung pinaka-general, no? Since sabi dun sa September 3, may natira pang 1,000 units and nung binili natin siya, 2,000 units po yun, di ba? So ibig sabihin, nabawasan yung September 3 purchase by 1,000. So out of the 4,000 na nabenta natin on September 20, okay, nanggaling po yung 1,000 sa September 2 times the 40 na specific cost niya. Then on September 2 na nabenta nating 1,000, it was 40,000. Okay? And then, as you can see, in September 14, 6,000 yung binili natin. Pero ang natira lang sa ending inventory based on the record was 3,000. So what does it mean? We have sold the 3,000 of it, no, na sumama rin or kasama dito sa 4,000 units. So as you can see, you have 3,000 times 44 kasi yun po ay nabenta mula sa September 14 na purchase. Okay, so that would be 132,000. And also, as you can see then, that yung 1,000 na nanggaling sa September 3 and 3,000 na nanggaling sa September 14 comprises the 4,000 units sold on September 20. Wala pong nagalaw sa September 30 purchase since 2,000 po yung binili and the ending will still be 2,000. Okay? So if we add it, we have the cost of goods sold already at 172,000. So yun yung cost of goods sold natin, 172,000. Okay? As an alternative, as you all know naman, no, in your merchandising business formula for cost of goods sold, so the cost of goods sold is computed by the cost of goods available for sale less the ending inventories. Okay? So determine muna natin magkano yung cost of goods available for sale. So di ba ang cost of goods available for sale is beginning inventory. Meron bang beginning inventory? Wala. Next would be purchases or net purchases, di ba? So lahat ng purchases natin, so yung 2,000 at 40, 6,000 na at 44 noong September 14 and 2,000 at 48 noong September 30, lahat yon will comprise our net purchases which will be part of our cost of goods available for sale. Okay, which is 440,000 as a whole. And then, di ba, nag-compute tayo ng cost of ending inventory na 268,000. We deduct that from the CGAS or the cost of goods available for sale. Okay, so magkano po ang cost of goods sold natin? Still 172,000. So either of these two are the same in terms of our computation for cost of goods sold. Okay? So I hope na naintindihan ninyo that once we use the specific identification as our policy or as our method used for the computation of the cost flow, okay, and also the ending inventory and the cost of goods sold, then it needs to identify the specific prices or specific inventory where the remaining inventory and the items being sold came from. Okay, so there should be a tedious monitoring on this kasi specific no, yung particular situation. This method is typically used for those companies that can really monitor it properly. At the same time, kaya niya pong identify kung ito ba yon a specific product. Okay, kasi minsan 'di ba naghahalo-halo. Halimbawa, pag pumunta ka sa grocery store, 'di ba? Hindi mo pag nilagay na sa shelf 'yan, hindi mo na alam kung ay ito ba yung nanggaling sa ano since the barcodes are the same, 'di ba? Na ini-scan. So, medyo mahirap pong i-identify. Okay? Kaya nga po, okay, this is the first that we have discussed if you can identify it clearly or specifically for that particular inventory. Pero, don't worry naman, okay, if it's not interchangeable, okay, or sorry, if it is not interchangeable, you can use specific identification. Pero pag ito ay interchangeable, then the next, okay, cost formula could be used for identifying the ending inventory and the cost of goods sold. Okay, so let's start. I hope na kung may questions kayo regarding specific identification method, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes and even comment it on our YouTube video. Okay. So the next would be first in, first out. So we are already starting yung mga methods na kung saan the products are interchangeable naman, okay? Interchangeable. So kasi 'di ba, pag nilagay nga sa shelf, pwedeng kunin ni customer yung nandoon sa nasa dulo, 'di ba? Kasi minsan pag naglalagay sa shelf yung dulo yung ginagawang mga old products and even yung mga nasa bungad, yung mga new products, paano kung rumble, interchangeable yung mga items, okay? So we have number one, no? In the interchangeable methods, yung first in, first out. Okay, so this method is typically used for those products na perishable lalo, no? Kasi pag perishable yung products natin, of course, kung ano yung mga unang dumating na even maunang mag-expire, then yun po muna yung dapat ma-dispose natin before it would be yung mga susunod na medyo matagal-tagal pa naman po yung expiration, di ba? So, kagaya ng mga vegetables, o kaya naman yung mga dairy or even mga other products no, na alam ninyong malapit na mag-expire. So in the first in first out concept in our cost formula, okay, it assumes that the company uses the goods or sell the goods on the order in which they have purchased them. So kung ano po yung binili na nauna, yun po dapat yung ma-dispose muna. Okay? So yun yung concept ng first in first out. Okay? So in terms of manufacturing, of course, kapag binili natin yon, even sa merchandising din, no, the item being purchased first will be used. Okay, so in this case, no, it means that the oldest costs, okay, of goods sold will be recorded first. So yung mga una natin na mga items, since sila yung nabenta mo muna or ibibenta mo muna, then yun po yung magko-comprise ng cost of goods sold natin. And the recent purchases, okay, yung mga latest na purchases natin na matitira would be considered as the inventory balance. So mamaya in our computation, as you can see in our computations, no, yung ating ending inventory will most likely be consists of the most recent purchases natin. Okay? Kasi nga po, ang assumption is kung hindi naman nabenta lahat, yung mga natira ay nanggaling sa mga latest na purchases natin. So parang mag-work back tayo mamaya, okay, kung ito yung latest purchases, okay, so pataas yan hanggang makuha natin kung ilan pa yung natitira doon sa ending inventory natin. And then, yung mga nauna na nasa linya ng listahan natin, then they will be considered naman as the cost of goods sold. Okay, so that's in the concept of first in, first out. No? So unlike specific identification, we could not be able to identify the items. No? Alam lang natin na yan yung specific na dapat i-dispose muna. Okay, kasi sila yung mga unang pa-expire or unang pasira. Okay, then the recent would be this one, pero they are interchangeable kasi pwedeng kumuha yung customer natin on those na nasa dulo o kaya nasa unahan, 'di ba? Depending upon how the customer feels to buy it. Kagaya mo, 'di ba? Pag bumibili ka, okay? So pag yung noodles, okay, kinukuha mo yung dulo kasi nandoon yung mga latest na nailagay. Okay? So let's find out now how this first in, first out is being computed for the ending inventory and our cost of goods sold. Okay, so using the same example again, okay, so I will not read the table anymore since it is the same table on the specific identification for Pure Gold Incorporated. Okay, ito na lang po. Assume that Pure Gold Incorporated using periodic inventory system. Okay, so remember the periodic inventory system for our previous discussion, di ba? So we use purchases, okay, yun yung mga characteristic, purchases discount, freight in, titles, okay? And we typically use physical count, di ba? Okay, so to continue, it determines the cost of the ending inventory by taking the cost of the most recent, as mentioned kanina, no? And working back until the accounts of all units in the inventory. Okay, remaining 6,000 units were taken from the 2,000 purchased on September 30 and 4,000 purchased in September 14. So as you can see guys, since bumili tayo ng 2,000 in September 30, so what we could assume under this first in, first out is that 2,000 of that 6,000 ending inventory came from the purchase on September 30. And the remaining 4,000 will come from the September 14, no, na 6,000 units yung nabili natin. Pero 4,000 of that will be part of the ending inventory. And the rest na hindi kasama sa ending inventory are presumed already being sold. So they will be part of the cost of goods sold. So again, the question is magkano po yung ending inventory and our cost of goods sold. So for the ending inventory, okay, the most recent purchases. So we have on September 30, okay, our September 30, okay, we have the 2,000 at 48, so that's 96,000. And then, out of the 6,000 na binili no September 14, 4,000 of which, okay, is attributed to our ending inventory, and the 2,000 malamang is being sold already. So 4,000 times the 44, that would be 176,000. Okay, so nabuo na natin yung 6,000 na remaining inventory based on physical count. Okay, so that's why the cost of the 6,000 units remaining inventory will now be 272,000. Sir, magkaiba talaga sila ng specific identification? Yes, kasi again, as you all know, yung specific identification may nanggaling sa September 3, 14, and 30 kanina. Okay, ngayon, here in this case, we have only September 30 and September 14 as our source of ending inventory. Kasi yun po yung functionality ng first in, first out. Okay, so we have the cost of goods sold, no, na 272,000. So now let's talk about the cost of ending inventory. So cost of goods sold naman po tayo. Okay, so for our cost of goods sold, of course, we have the September 3 na purchase natin, nabenta na po yun at 2,000 times 40. Okay, so that would be a total of, magkano po? 80,000. Okay? And then, diba, yung September 14, 4,000 of it remained on the ending inventory. So what does it mean? 2,000 is coming from the September 14 considered as sold already. So we have times 44. So the cost of goods sold related to the sold item for September 14 is 88,000. Okay, so once we add that, we have the 168,000. Okay, so that's the cost of goods sold. So as an alternative, di ba kanina may alternative tayo? So yung cost of goods available for sale natin is 440,000. So na-explain ko na yan kanina na wala namang beginning inventory. So nanggaling po yan cost of goods available for sale sa lahat ng purchases natin, since net purchases plus beginning inventory is equal to the cost of goods available for sale. And then we deduct the cost of ending inventory, which is 272,000 as computed natin. Then the cost of goods sold is 168,000. Okay, so which is the same with the first alternative. Okay, so either of the two is still correct in terms of computation of cost of goods sold. Okay, so again, I hope na naintindihan natin. So this is the periodic inventory system, first in, first out. Okay, the most recent inventory will comprise the ending inventory, and the first purchases or the beginning, malamang kung may beginning yan, were sold first. Okay, because they are the first one na pumasok, then they need to be sold immediately. Okay, so that's for periodic inventory system. What if naman perpetual? FIFO perpetual tayo. Okay, so let me show you how it works for FIFO perpetual. Okay, actually same pa rin naman, pero ang nabago lang is that we have used perpetual inventory system. Okay, so remember that in our discussion of perpetual inventory system, the company is monitoring the inventory and cost of goods sold account once it was being sold. So may constant monitoring, unlike with the periodic inventory system that we have only physical count, okay, at the end of the reporting period. Okay, so ano kaya yung pagkakaiba nila? Still, it is FIFO, guys, no? The first purchases, okay, should be disposed first before the latest purchases. Okay, so for this one, no, pag perpetual, we have to monitor it. So as you can see, nakatabular siya kasi we have a monitoring, no? So on September 2, okay, as you all know, that's 80,000, okay, pesos. So that's the balance natin kasi we have just purchased 2,000 units at 40 pesos. Okay, so on September 14, bumili po tayo ng additional 6,000. So 6,000 at 44, that's 264,000. So in the FIFO method, okay, so nakasegregate pa rin yung 2,000 at 40 and 6,000 at 44 because we need to monitor as well na yung unang nabili, which is on September 2, should be disposed first before the September 14. Okay, but the total balance as of the September 14 purchase was 344. So as you can see, guys, no, we have monitoring the movement of inventory, and that's how it works for the perpetual inventory system. Meron tayong stock cards, no, which we monitors the movement, no, yung purchase at saka yung nabenta natin. Now, on September 30, or September 20 rather. Okay, so nagbenta tayo ng 4,000 units. Okay, so yung 4,000 na yon, saan nanggaling? 'Di ba? On September 2, bumili tayo ng 2,000. So it should be disposed first. Okay? So yung 2,000 madi-dispose first at 40. Kaya nandito sa sold column, yung 2,000 at 40 pesos. So 80,000, no? Na-dispose na yan. And then, since 2,000 pa lang yun nanggaling sa September to purchase, the remaining 2,000 out of the 4,000 na nabenta came from naman the September 14 purchase. Okay, kaya nandito, you have 2,000 units at 44. Again, kaya 2,000 kasi 4,000 yung binenta, yung 2,000 nang galing kanina sa September 2, so the remaining will come from the September 14 purchases at 44 pesos. So that will be 88,000. Okay? And then, pag inad natin, so the amount of being sold natin for September 20 is 168,000 pesos. Okay? So now, on the balance column, wala na po tayong natitirang September 2 kasi na-dispose na po siya agad, di ba? But what is remaining is the 4,000 units na lang. Okay, bakit naging 4,000? Kasi 6,000 po yung September 14. Okay, tapos 2,000 of it was being sold, kaya 4,000 na lang po at 44. So the balance as of September 20 is 176,000 na lang. Okay? And then finally on September 30, so bumili ulit tayo ng 2,000 units at 48, no? We have 96,000. So in the balance, okay, pinagsama lang natin yung September 20 na balance na 176,000 and the purchases that we made on September 30 worth 96,000. So the ending balance of our inventory is still 272,000. Okay? So from the data itself, no, napansin niyo na since this is FIFO perpetual, okay, so we just simply monitor, no, our sales and purchases. We tend to segregate it kasi nga po what happened is yung kung ano yung unang binili, yun yung unang madi-dispose. Mamaya in our discussion of the average method naman, may ganyan din na way how we compute, pero average, hindi niya na kailangang i-monitor yung kung saan nanggaling na purchases, kung magkano yun per item, kasi that's already average. Now this is FIFO, okay, so we tend to monitor. And as you can see guys, yung ending inventory niya, okay, sorry. So the ending inventory of this FIFO is actually 272,000, which is almost the same with the periodic. Sige, tignan natin yung periodic. Ang cost of goods sold niya is 168 and your ending inventory is 272, no, for periodic. Pero sa perpetual, same lang din sila, di ba? 272 pa rin yung ending inventory kasi nga, ang pinanggalingan din naman is the most recent purchases. Okay, na yung September 30 and natira ng September 14. And our cost of goods sold, as you can see kanina in the periodic, you have 168,000. Ngayon din po, 168,000 siya for perpetual. Okay? So ang point lang po, under first in, first out method, whether it is periodic or perpetual, ito yung tatandaan ninyo ha, whether periodic or perpetual sa first in, first out, we will have the same cost of goods sold and ending inventory. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Okay, kasi mamaya sa weighted average, magkaiba na po sila. Okay, kahit periodic perpetual na sabihin mong average method, magkaiba na po sila. Okay, under FIFO and under FIFO periodic or perpetual, they will have the same cost of goods sold and ending inventory. Ang pinagkaiba lang talaga nila is how we monitor that particular inventory flow. Okay, sa periodic kasi physical count pero manggagaling lang din siya sa recent purchase. Dito sa perpetual, no, the ending inventory is being monitored but it will simply again the same with the periodic na manggagaling din sa most recent purchases. Okay? So that's a FIFO method, first in, first out. Okay? So If you do have any questions, please key in your question on our chat box. Okay, sir, paano kung sa problem hindi nilagay whether periodic and perpetual? Walang problema, di ba? Walang problema kasi nga the same output for the ending inventory and cost of goods sold. So, hindi ko na kailangan sabihin minsan kung anong method yung FIFO na yan, kung periodic or perpetual. Okay? Kasi they will have the same, either of the two. Okay? Pero ang mas madali, of course, kung wala namang sinabing method, then apply yung sa periodic computation. Bakit? Kasi nga hindi ka nagagawa ng table, you just simply compute for it. Okay? So ayan, thank you very much. So again, if you do have questions, please let me know. So we're done with the first in, first out. Reminder lang ha, LIFO or the last in, first out is not acceptable here in our IS2, kaya hindi na po natin i-discuss. Okay? And the last cost formula series natin is on the average method. And kanina, di ba, may dalawa tayong average method. It could either be weighted average or moving average. So pag weighted average po, it is typically used for periodic inventory system. Okay, so it is an average method used for periodic inventory system. Okay, periodic. Again, this method are being used for interchangeable products. No? Yung pwedeng mapagpalit-palit yung value na products. Okay, so under periodic average method, which is weighted average method, okay, each of the item, no, cost of the items was being determined by computing the weighted average cost of similar items at the beginning of the period and the cost of similar items purchased and produced. So ang nangyayari po, since weighted average siya, we compute for the weighted average. No? Hindi kagaya ng FIFO na you tend pa to monitor what's the most recent purchases kasi you can try to manage yung pag-sell ng item since the most perishable could be disposed first. Pero sa weighted average kasi, kagaya ng grocery store, di ba? Ito yung pwedeng nating i-apply kung periodic siya. Kasi baka mamaya yung nilagay mo doon sa shelf na product, no, hindi mo na rin alam kung alin doon yung unang binili at ano yung recent, 'di ba? So kasi yung mga customers talaga balahura rin kagaya ko, no, na nangunguha ko sa dulo, nangunguha sa gitna, nangunguha doon sa unahan. Okay? So we don't know already kung ano po yung pinanggagalingan ng remaining inventory natin. So once we apply the average method, okay? So using the periodic inventory system na weighted average method, we tend to compute yung weighted average cost per unit. Okay? Hindi natin kayang i-identify specific. Hindi rin natin kayang identify kung ano yung unang binili or hindi kasi nga it may be shuffled already. Okay? So we need as a conservative one to compute yung weighted average ng lahat ng nilagay natin na item doon sa binibenta natin. Okay? So mamaya, no, in our computation, unlike with the first two discussed na specific identification and FIFO, we will be computing here the weighted average cost per unit. Okay? Or yung tinatawag natin na WACPO mamaya. Okay? In the next slide yon. Okay? Ayan na pala. No? So we compute the average unit. So we know it as weighted average cost per unit or WACPO, or ACPO sa iba kasi average cost per unit lang. So why is there a need for us to compute for the average unit? It's because of the facts na that will represent the unit price of each, average unit price of each of the product. No? Again, similar items, baka mamaya naman pagsamahin mo yung corned beef doon sa let's say chocolate, no? Hindi pwede, dapat yung the same product pa rin. So kung corned beef yung product, then dapat yung lahat ng corned beef items na yon, no, whether what time siya nabili kasi baka nagpa-fluctuate yung prices niya, then yun yung kukomputan mo. So you compute per similar items. Okay? So for the WACPO or the weighted average cost per unit, it would be the cost of goods available for sale in peso. 'Di ba? Familiar naman kayo sa cost of goods available for sale natin na in peso because that is your beginning inventory plus any net purchases. Okay, net purchases. And also, you just simply divide it with the cost of goods available for sale in units. Okay, units naman po. Okay, kaya peso over units, that's cost per unit natin. Okay? So are we good on that? Tapos mamaya, pag na-compute na natin itong WACPO natin, then i-multiply nyo na lang ilang units yung nagbenta and then ilan units yung natira, then that's already your ending and cost of goods sold amounts. Okay? So yan po yung WACP. Any questions? Okay? Wala naman. Sige. So let's apply this. Okay, so to illustrate, actually it's the same problem again, no, related to Pure Gold Incorporated. Okay, so assume lang daw that Pure Gold uses average method and periodic inventory system kasi weighted average yan. Okay, so ano yung unang step? Compute for the WACP. Okay, so paano computein yung WACP? We have to compute first the cost of goods available for sale. So saan manggagaling ang cost of goods available for sale natin? May beginning inventory ba? Wala. So wala tayong aasahan na beginning inventory dito. Next, meron ba tayong purchases or net purchases? Yes. Itong nasa purchases columns natin. So what you need to do is just simply add them all, no, yung ano natin amount. So yung purchase ng September 3, so that would be 2,000 times 40. Yung purchase ng September 14, so that's 6,000 times 44. And then purchase on September 30, 2,000 times 48. Okay, so i-total niyo yan using your calculator. Okay, so I hope that you are doing the rechecking right now. Sige, tignan nga natin kung magkano yan. You have 2,000 times 40, okay, plus 6,000 times 44, plus 2,000 times 48. Kapag naka-cycle ka, pwede mo na siyang dire-diretsuhin, no? Unlike with the manual pantindahan na calculator. So the total of the numerator was actually amounting to 440,000. Okay? So for 40,000, yung cost of goods available for sale natin in peso. Okay? And then yung ating in units, okay? So you just simply add lahat ng binili mo, 2,000 plus 6,000 plus 2,000. So that's a total of 10,000. Okay? So 440,000 divided by 10,000. So that's the WACP natin na 44 pesos per unit. Okay? So we have already determined the weighted average cost per unit na 44 peso per unit. Okay, so any questions? So yan po yung WACP natin. Okay, so in determining now the cost of ending inventory and the cost of goods sold, so for the ending inventory, now we have 6,000 na remaining balance. So just simply 6,000 times 44 na WACP. So the ending inventory is 264,000. Okay, and then pag cost of goods sold naman po, okay, you have an alternative. Ilan ba yung nabenta? Diba? So you have 4,000 na nabentang units times WACP na 44. So that is magkano? 4,000 times 44. Okay, that is also 176,000. Okay, if you want to use the units. Or as an alternative, your cost of goods sold available for sale na 440,000 less the ending inventory na 264, then our cost of goods sold is 176,000. Okay? So ganyan kadali kapag weighted average method tayo. Okay? So are we clear on that, guys? So for weighted average method, compute first the WACP and then multiplied it with the remaining inventory and yun na benta to derive the ending inventory and cost of goods sold. No need for you to monitor kung alin yung unang nabili or even specifically kung magkano siya kasi nga po, we are using the average cost per unit as our multiplier. Okay? So again, the products here are interchangeable. Okay, so any questions or clarifications? Okay, wala naman po. So thank you very much. So we're done with the weighted average method, the average method applicable for periodic inventory system. Okay, how about naman po the average method applicable for perpetual? Okay, perpetual inventory system. So this is known naman po as moving average method. Okay, so moving average method. So how does it work in the perpetual inventory system? Okay, so again, used in perpetual, we do not compute the WACP in totality. Kasi di ba yung WACP, cost of goods available for sale in peso over cost of goods available for sale in units. Dito po, sa moving average, you compute the average pa rin, okay, on a periodic basis. Ano daw? Bakit periodic? Perpetual, no? On a periodic basis, ibig sabihin every time, no, na magkakaroon ng movement, no, either you receive or you sell a certain inventory, then kagaya po nung kanina sa FIFO perpetual, di ba? Nakita nyo, minonitor natin. So each of the period na may purchase ka or nabenta ka, you need to calculate the average costs per unit. Okay? So medyo mas tedious lang siya compared with the weighted average, since every time na nagkakaroon ng movement sa inventory, we tend to compute the average. Okay? So parang nagwawakpo ka na hindi totality, but rather nagwawakbo ka based on the individual movement natin. Okay? So, are we clear on that? So, gagawa din tayo ng table for monitoring, no, or stock card, no, on the sold, on the purchased, and the balance natin. Okay, so let me show you how moving average work, no, comparing it also with the rest of what we have discussed as inventory methods. Okay, so again, we have assumed the same problem, okay, for Pure Gold Incorporated. Okay, so we have the purchase, sold, and then the balance. So again, we are using the perpetual inventory system. Okay, and let's identify the cost of ending inventory and cost of goods sold. So hindi po tayo magwawak po dito ha, kasi moving average perpetual ito. So anong gagawin natin? Okay, we need to create the stock card, okay, monitoring natin. Okay, so let's start. Kagaya nung ano to, pag nakita nyo, kagaya siya nung ating discussion kanina sa FIFO perpetual. So on September 2, wala tayong problema since walang beginning balance. So yung 2,000 na binili natin at 40 pesos, then 80,000 po yun. So in the balance, we have 80,000. So in September 2, as of September 2, we have a average unit price of 40 pesos. Okay, kasi isa lang po siya. Okay? Now, nung dumating si September 14, no? We purchased 6,000 at 44. That is a total of 264,000. So, ang gagawin natin, since purchase din po yan, yung 80,000 na balance nung September 2, okay? Plus yung 264,000 na total na binili natin in September 14, that's a total of 344,000. Okay, 344,000 po. And then, ilang units po yan? You have 2,000 in the balance as of September 2, then bumili ka ng 6,000. So, that's a total of 8,000 units. Okay, now, since this is moving average, and nabanggit ko kanina that every time we compute the average unit price, okay, so what we need to do is to compute for the average unit price or the moving average price as of September 14. And how do we compute for that? Yung 344,000 na total na balance, okay, divided by the 8,000 units. Okay, so 344,000 divided by 8,000 units. Okay, so that's actually 43 pesos. So hindi 40, hindi 44 ang gagamitin, but rather 43 pesos per unit as of September 14, kasi yun po yung lumabas na average price per unit as of September 14, considering the balance, okay, total balance and the number of units. Okay, so parang nagwawak po ka nga kanina, pero ito individual, okay, per movement sa inventory. Okay, so 43. So what does it mean? Pag nagbenta tayo sa September 20, no, unlike with the previous, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na ay naunang binili sa September 2, so yun muna unang i-dispose. Ay average tayo, so dapat yung average totality ng lahat. Hindi, no? In the moving average method, no, whatever is the recent na average price, yun po yung gagamitin natin for the sales natin on the preceding period. Okay? So just like this, we have sold 4,000 units. Okay, we multiplied it at 43 kasi yung recent na average price natin is 43. Okay, so the amount of being sold was 172,000. Okay, so 172,000. So ngayon, dun sa balance natin na natitira, since we are monitoring it, yung 344 nung September 14, nabawasan na siya nung binenta natin na 172. So magkano na lang po natitira? Still 172. You can check it on the calculator. 344,000 minus 172 is 172 pa rin. Okay? And then ilan number of units natin? We have for 8,000 po nung September 14 pero nabenta natin yung 4,000. So we still have a remaining balance of 4,000 units. So again, we compute for the moving average cost per unit. So 172 divided by 4,000, so that will be 43 pesos pa rin. Okay, so walang problema, 43 pesos. Okay, are we clear on that? Okay. So lastly, for September 30, as you can see, no, you have the purchased as of September 30 na 2,000 units at 48, which is a total of 96,000. Okay? So ang gagawin, you just simply add mula sa balance na 172 nung September 20, yung total na purchases on September 30, which is 96,000. So 172 plus 96,000, so that would be 268,000. Okay, 268,000 yung totality natin. And then for our balance, no, na units kanina 4,000, then bumili tayo ng additional 2,000 on September 30, then our ending balance units is 6,000 units, di ba? So 268 yung total ending inventory natin kasi last na yan, di ba? And then yung ating number of units is 6,000. Pero we can compute and we should compute for the average price as of September 30 kasi that will be used naman for the next accounting period. Okay, so yung 268 divided by 6,000, if you put it in the calculator, that's 46.66666 or convert natin into two decimal places, 67. Okay, so the average price as of September 30 was not 44 na, but rather 44.67, okay, pesos with 6,000 units. Okay, so again, as you have seen, no, magkakaiba ng method or the way how we compute on the cost flow of the previous, no, also different from this moving average method na minomonitor natin each of the period na may movement sa inventory yung ating average unit price. Okay? Pero out of this table, we can compute already or we can get now the ending inventory and cost of goods sold. Actually, the ending inventory is yung balance natin na 268. Okay? And the cost of goods sold is 172. Sir, nagkataon lang ba na pareha siya with the other ano? Yes, nagkataon lang pero in most of the time magkakaiba yan ng mga balances. Okay? Even the cost of goods sold and ending balances are different. So again, no, it depends upon the entity's types of product or even the cost formula that they will choose that applicable to their products. At the same time, the inventory system that would apply in their company. Okay? So yan po yung mga various cost formula na indicated in our standard, no? The specific identification, the first in, first out, and the average method, which either periodic or perpetual. Okay, we have the mode-being average for the perpetual and weighted average for the periodic. Okay, so are we clear on that? Okay, so if you do have any questions, just key in your questions on our chat box. Okay, to finish this, actually tapos na ako sa theoretical discussion ito, no? But I'm going just to have a short recap by using again another set of examples. Okay. So, ayan. So, let me have an example from Sony Company, okay, which sells blanket at 30 pesos each. Okay. So, meron po tayong product T, okay, which is we have purchased, okay, 500 at 15 pesos na cost. We have sold 300 units. Then we have purchased 1,000 at 17 pesos on July 17. We have sold 600 units, and then also in 23, we have sold 300 units and purchases on July 30 na 1,000 units at 20 pesos. So we need to determine the cost of sales or the cost of goods sold and the cost of ending inventory under the various methods. So FIFO periodic and FIFO perpetual. Then we have the weighted average and moving average. Okay? So unahin natin yung FIFO periodic natin. Okay, so which is the most recent purchases, diba? Pero this is periodic, so no need for us to monitor really. Kung ano lang po yung most recent purchase, then yun lang po i-consider natin as ending inventories. Okay, so as you can see guys, ilang units po ba yung nabenta? You have 300, 600, and 300. So you have a total of 1,200 units being sold. So yun yung magko-comprise sa ending, the cost of goods sold natin kasi yun yung nabenta. But for our ending inventory, okay, so nag-present lang tayo dito ng cost of sales, okay, ng cost of sales natin, okay, lahat ng ating sale, okay, which actually came from doon sa 300, okay, so nag-present na agad ng cost of goods sold. Okay, so we have on June 10, naalala ninyo, we have 300 units being sold. So nanggaling siya saan? Doon sa, dahil FIFO po ito, okay, July 30, so 300 times 15, okay, 4,500. Then on July 20 na sale, which is 300, may nanggaling pa po mula sa 200 ng first purchase natin, okay? So that's 200 times 15, okay, which is 3,000. And then the remaining, okay, na 400 units na binenta on July 20 came from the 17 pesos na purchase, okay? So that would be 6,800. And then, as you can see in July 23, we have sold as well 300. Okay, so 300 units, no, times 17. Okay, 5,100. So the total sales in quantity natin is 1,200. Okay, and then the total cost of goods sold natin as of the end of this period was 19,400. Okay, so as you can see, yung mga naunang purchased, yun po yung mga kinonsidered natin as sold already. Okay, while for the ending inventory, okay, ilang units pong ending inventory natin? So yung mga purchases natin, 'di ba? Yung 500, 1,000 and 1,000 na purchases, niles lang po natin yung 1,200 na sales. So we have the number of units in ending inventory na 1,300. Okay? And for the amount of ating ending inventory, okay? So the most recent purchases, 'di ba? So yung July 30 na purchase na 1,000 units at 20 pesos, hindi po yan nagalaw. So that will be part of our ending inventory, 20,000. And then on July 17 na purchase, okay? May natira na lang po na 300. Sir, paano po natirang 300? 1,000 po yung binili. So 'di ba? Kanina on the sales natin, 300 was being part of the sold in July 23. And on July 20, no, 400 po yung nanggaling sa purchase ng July 17. So 700 po yung nabenta related to it minus the 1,000. Kaya 300 units na lang po yung natitira as of July 17. Okay? Then multiplied it with the unit cost na 17, then we have 5,100. So if we add those remaining inventory coming from July 17 and July 30, so we have a total of 25,100. Okay? So any questions or clarifications? Okay, wala naman. All right. So very good. Thank you. Okay, so again, you can compute din naman using the cost of goods available for sale less the ending inventory to arrive at our cost of sales or cost of goods sold na 19,400. So that would be on the FIFO periodic. Okay, while for the FIFO perpetual using the same data, okay, so meron lang tayong ginawang stock card for monitoring purposes. Okay, so as you can see, medyo mas detailed to ng konti compared with what I have shown you a while ago. Pero same lang halos naman yung kalalabasan. Okay, so on July 3, nung bumili tayo, so we have purchased 500 at 15. Okay, that's the total cost of 7,500. So yun po yung balance as of July 3. Then on July 10, nagbenta tayo ng 300, okay, which is coming from again yung 500 na yon. Okay, so 300 yung nabenta at 15, so that's 4,500. So what will happen? Okay, we deduct it. So ang balance na lang as of July 10 is 200 na lang po yung natitira mula doon sa July 3 na purchase. Then at 15 pa rin. So 3,000 pesos ang running balance as of July 10. Okay? Then dumating si July 17, nag-purchase din tayo at 1,000. Okay? And 17 peso yung costs. Okay? So that's a total of 17,000. So dumagdag po yun plus 1,000 sa quantity kaya naging 1,200. Then for the unit cost, hindi po natin siya kailangang i-add kasi nga po it's FIFO perpetual, so we monitor it individually, 'di ba? Kagaya kanina. So the total balance po or the total cost as of the moment is 20,000. Okay? But it came from 200 at 15, okay? And then 1,000 at 17 pesos. Okay? So nakahiwalay. Hindi rin ito yung ano ha, moving average kasi nga FIFO perpetual pa lang po ito. Then on July 20, okay, nagbenta po tayo ng 600 units. Okay, so as you can see, yung July 20, naka-distribute tayo na yung 200 nang galing doon sa initial na natirang balance mula sa July 10. Okay, so 200 times 15, so that's 3,000. Okay, so also, yung natitira, kasi 600 yung binili, 200 lang yung nanggaling dun sa initial na purchase natin. So, nanggaling naman itong 400 na to sa July 17 times 17 na cost, no? So, 6,800. Okay, so we tend to deduct the amounts there. Okay, so nagbawas tayo ng 3,000, nagbawas din tayo ng 6,800 related. So total actually na binenta on July 20 was actually 9,800 since 3,000 and 6,800 na nanggaling sa magkaibang purchase. Since again, this is FIFO perpetual, may monitor yung dates natin. Okay? Then, on July 23 as well, nagbenta tayo ng 300. So, July 23, nagbenta ng 300 at ubos na yung ubos na yung sa 15 pesos. Naubos na siya as of July 20 pa lang. So, yung sale natin ng July 23, okay, it came from the 17 pesos na purchases natin. Okay, so that's 5,100. Okay, so after this sale, the balance after July 23, 300 units na lang po yung natitira. Okay? So yung 1,2 nung 17 minus yung binenta na 600 as of July 20 at saka minus din yung binili nung July 20 or sorry, binenta nung July 23. Kaya 300 na lang po. And saan nanggaling yung price nung natitira? 17 na lang kasi 'di ba naubos na nga po yung may 15 pesos. So the ending balance as of pa lang as of July 23 is 5,100. Okay? And then finally, nung dumating si July 30, you have the 1,000 units no, at 20 pesos. So that's 20,000. So we just simply add it okay, on our inventory balance. So plus 1,000 yung units. So ang natitirang ending units natin is 1,300 which is the same doon sa FIFO periodic. No? And then for the ending total cost naman po, you have 5,100 as of July 23 and then inad yung binili na 20,000. So we have an ending inventory as of July 30 na 25,100. So eventually, napansin niyo parehas lang sila ni FIFO periodic kasi nabanggit ko kanina that FIFO periodic and FIFO perpetual have the same amounts of ending and cost of goods sold. Okay? So for the cost of goods sold naman, you just simply add lahat ng total costs under the columns of cost of merchandise sold. Okay? So 4,500, 3,000, 6,800, and 5,100. So that's a total of 19,400, which we have sold under 1,200 units. Okay? So that's our FIFO perpetual. So again, if you do have any questions, please key in your questions to our chat box. Okay? So next will be the weighted average. Okay? So mag-walk po na po tayo kasi kanina we have computed this already. So for our purchases, okay, for our cost of goods available for sale per unit, no? So we have cost of goods available for sale in peso. So yung 500 times 15, okay, so 1,000 times 17 and 1,000 times 20. So pag pinag-add po natin lahat yan, that is a total of 44,500. Okay, so ito 44,500. Then we divide it with 2,000 na quantity natin or the cost of goods available for sale in units. So the WAC po, since this is weighted average method, is 17.80. Okay? So the cost of sales, ilan ba yung nabentang item? Di ba 1,200 times the WAC po na 17.80. So our cost of sales or cost of goods sold in using the weighted average method is 21,360. Okay? And the cost of ending inventory, okay, is yung WAC po na 17.8 times 1,300. Bakit 1,300 ulit? As previously discussed, di ba? So you have the 2,500 na cost of goods or total goods available for sale, and then minus yung nabenta na 300, 600, and 300. So that's 1,200. Kaya ang natira na lang po ay 1,300. Okay? So the total cost of ending inventory is 23,140. Okay? So medyo mas madali ng konti si weighted average since we have the WAC po. Okay, so if you do have any questions, please key in your questions on our chat box. Okay, so that's weighted average. And finally, no, for our last example, we have the moving average. So ang nangyari lang po sa moving average, we have computed the moving average cost per unit natin. So kagaya rin siya nung FIFO kanina, pero ang nangyari lang po, as you can see here, okay, so nagkaroon lang po tayo ng monitoring ng average. Okay, dito na lang ako sa July 17 kasi parehas lang siya sa FIFO kanina. Sa July 17, you have 20,000 in total and then 1,200 units. Okay, so ang ginawa natin, we divide that. So 20,000 divided 1,200, that's actually 16.67 unit cost, no, per unit, okay, as of July 17 kasi nagmo-move nga po. Kanina 15 on July 3, okay, pag sinimulan ko sa July 3, so it would be 15 pesos pa rin. Okay? Then July 10, nagbenta tayo at 15 pesos pa rin per unit. So walang nagbago. 15 pa rin po as of that July 10. Pero nung dumating si July 17 na purchase, okay, which is 17 peso, ayun. So nangyari, inad natin yung total units, naging 1,200 and the total cost is 3,000 plus 17,000. So 20,000. Kaya gumalaw po mismo yung unit cost natin. Kaya naging 16,000, 16.67 kasi 6666 po yan. Okay? Then, nung nag-sale tayo ng July 20 and 23, as you can see, we have used the recent na average which is 16.67. So, yun pa rin po yung ginamit. Okay? So, walang naging changes sa average kagaya kanina, no, on July 23. Pero nung dumating si July 30, kasi nag-purchase tayo at 20 pesos, okay, so nung gumalaw, we have 1,300 units po at ending inventory, and then 25,000 po yung total cost ng ending inventory. Okay, so 25,000 divided by 1,300, so that's an average unit cost na bago as of July 30 na 19.23. Okay, so nagkakaroon ng changes actually typically kapag meron tayong binibili, lalo na kung yung binili natin is higher or lower yung price compared with the previous na mga average balances. Okay, so ayun, for the ending inventory, based on this example, we have 25,000 pesos, pero ang unit cost na pwedeng maging beginning balance sa August, kasi July po ito, no, is 19.23, and we have 1,300 units, which is actually the same units ng ending inventory sa mga previous na mga methods natin. Okay? And then for the cost of goods sold, 1,000 units pa rin po yung nabenta, pero it is already 19,500 since ang nabenta natin is not only 15 and 17, but rather it consists of 15 pesos na units at saka yung 16.67. Okay? So I will be sharing to you, okay, in my class yung itong PowerPoint na to, no, so that you could be able to see the examples. Okay, so if you do have any questions, please let me know. So again, as you have seen, no, magkakaiba ng atake, pero halos similar din naman yung ibang, no, na in terms of the cost formula. Okay, so to summarize this, okay, so during periods of rising costs, okay, so in terms of our formula kanina or computations, so kapag pataas po yung mga prices natin na especially for purchases, okay, take note that FIFO results on lower cost of goods sold because the lower cost of earliest purchases are assumed sold. So, di ba kapag FIFO kasi first in, first out, so yung mga naunang binili, okay, is mababa kasi rising daw yung cost eh. So, ibig sabihin, on the first purchases, mga mabababa yan. Tapos, as time goes by, pataas ng pataas. Okay, so nung pataas ng pataas yung prices na binibili natin, then yung mga nauna is mas mababa yung cost. So yung cost of goods sold is mas mababa for FIFO compared with the others. Okay? So on the other hand then, no, FIFO ending inventory includes the most higher costs of purchases kapag rising yung costs. Kasi 'di ba, yung ending inventory natin is based on the most recent purchases. Eh kung pataas po yung costs ng mga products, then yung ending inventory na tira is mas matataas. Okay? And all of the three methods are permissible according to the IAS2, no, and frequently used in the practice. So either of those, actually hindi lang siya three methods, three methods siya, di ba? Pero almost four methods kasi depending upon the usage of the inventory system natin. Okay, so three lang siya, which is yung specific identification, the FIFO, okay, you whether periodic or perpetual ka, and then the average method, which is either moving average for perpetual and weighted average for periodic, are all acceptable. Okay? So, ayan po yung ating discussion ng cost formula. Again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, so please chat your questions on our respective chat boxes and even comment on this YouTube video for your questions. Okay, so I hope na may natutunan kayo about the cost formula. So I'll be waiting you for our next videos, okay, related to inventory, okay, for the next discussion. Okay, so thank you very much guys for listening, and again, no, stay safe and God bless. Okay, so sayonara. Sayonara.